Welcome back. South Africans should brace themselves for more load shedding over the next 5 years. Eskom CEO de Ruyter says the power utility will have a shortfall in electricity supply. De Ruyter was giving an update on the power utility systems. Govan Whittles is following the story for us. He joins us now live. So what is the outlook of potential load shedding for the upcoming winter season and the rest of the year, Govan?
It's precarious, Shahan, and at this point Eskom seems to be making good progress in trying to bring some of the units that were offline back online, restoring that additional capacity to deal with the load shedding happening right now. But it's what will happen in winter that's of more concern. They predict that, of course, demand would be much lower in winter and the coal-fired power stations would be able to operate at a much more efficient capacity due to the lower weather. But really, it's the unplanned outages which threaten to bring darkness to South Africa during winter. And Eskom says they can maintain keeping the lights on even if they lose 10,000 megawatts of power. And they can do that through burning of some diesel in the open gas cycle turbines, but it's really what happens after they start to lose more than 10,000 megawatts that becomes a big problem. At 12,000 megawatts of power lost to the system, Eskom could incur 1.2 billion rand in burning that diesel to keep the power on, and even then it forecasts up to 2 weeks of load shedding during winter. At 11,000 it's just up to 2 days of load shedding, but the more power it loses, the longer the load shedding could last in winter. And what you could see clearly here is that the unplanned outages, the tripping of Eskom systems, getting the power back online in time when it promised and not later, the quality of the coal, the delivery of coal, the performance of its coal suppliers, those are the key to keeping the lights on. And at this point, the Chief Operations Officer of Eskom, Jan Oberholzer, says that the outlook for the unplanned outages changes hourly. Here's a comment from the Chief Executive Officer of Eskom, de Ruyter, about this outlook, and it really surmises the precarious nature of the situation. Let's have a look.
Eskom has to reiterate that there will be a shortfall in the supply of electricity of approximately 4,000 megawatts over the next 5 years, as President Cyril Ramaphosa announced in his State of the Nation address. We welcome, therefore, the further interventions announced by the President, which will include a request for proposals for 2,600 megawatts from wind and solar energy as part of bid window 5. As South Africa's key energy player, Eskom is looking forward to continuing its collaboration with the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, the Independent Power Producer Office, which is in charge of procurement of electricity, as well as with the electricity regulator, NERSA, to enable this capacity to come online as speedily as possible. Capacity challenges, however, will remain one of the challenges that we have to grapple with in South Africa, as most of our power stations are reaching the end of their useful lives, having had a hard life and being operated for extended period of time, well above international utilization factors. This is further compounded by deferred maintenance and results in our power stations being not reliable and not predictable.
So de Ruyter has also responded to a probe into his alleged racist conduct. What's he saying?
Yeah, this relates to a complaint laid by the suspended Chief Procurement Officer, I believe, that Mr. De Ruyter had been sidelining black contractors at Eskom in favor of white companies. The probe has been initiated by the Eskom board, which has decided to appoint an independent senior counsel to look into the allegations. De Ruyter addressed them directly and also revealed how he believes the probe could extend beyond allegations of racism. But let's have a look now at what his response was to this independent investigation.
I welcome the investigation. I think it will be a good opportunity to properly and fully ventilate all of the charges made against me. Of course, they're not only restricted to racism, there are other elements. So we are told. We have not been made privy to all of the allegations that have been made against me to SCOPA, but we will get to the bottom of it, and I will cooperate fully with such an investigation. As the chairman of the board has said, and I fully subscribe to that, racism and sexism have absolutely no place at Eskom. So that is a categorical statement that my management team and I fully support. Equally, we cannot accept underperformance, and we cannot accept corruption. And where we find either of these, we will take the necessary management action as is required of us as officials in charge of Eskom.
And Govind, just to go roundabout here, we're currently, of course, experiencing stage 2 load shedding. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, so they think that they've recovered a lot of generation capacity over the last couple of hours, Shahan. They say that tomorrow afternoon they will review whether or not we'll remain on stage 2 load shedding or move it down to stage 1 or perhaps even end load shedding. But the point that they've made that's important here, Shahan, is that the end to South Africa's blackout problem doesn't lie with the maintenance of Eskom's power stations. It only lies with its ability to generate more power. So ideally, and in line with the State of the Nation address, Eskom would like to see private power producers producing electricity, whether using the hydro or hydroelectric plants or even using some coal, and then selling that to Eskom. That is the answer to the shortfall in power generation that the country is experiencing, and the Chief Executive has made it a point to drive that home.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Our reporter, Govind Whittles.